careers to escape poverty? I did go to 1.5 years of community college. I thought I would do something great, just like my sisters, both doctors. I hated school. I quit. I got in the office, worked out now. I make $36 an hour working from home for a children's hospital. My insurance is amazing, and I get to cover my husband. For many years, I thought I didn't make it because my friends were off doing so many other exciting things. But I can live comfortably now. I do not stress too much. I make enough money to live, pay down debt, and save. What is your job title? I want to work in the hospital system, but not as a nurse or doctor. Patient Access Resource Specialist. It is called different things at other hospitals, but basically I schedule surgeries and help get authorizations from insurance. I had no healthcare experience before I started doing this, just office experience. Hey, check out Biomedical Equipment Technician as a career. BEMET. They work in the hospital and do maintenance and repairs on medical equipment. I'm specialized and only work on radiology equipment, mostly cath lab systems. But I'm training on most clinical equipment. X-ray portables, etc. I was depressed, homeless, and without direction at one point in my life. Before getting back into the workforce and going to school for biomedical equipment technology. Now I look forward to going to work, knowing I get to help nurses, radiology techs, and doctors save lives. And I get paid well for it. All it usually takes is an associate's degree. Elementary school custodian. $65K a year. No education required for this job. Fully covered pension and health benefits. 4 weeks of vacation, 15 holidays, and 12 sick days. Monday, Friday, 6:30 to 3:30, 40 hours a week, and no more. Family life balance is amazing. Work is stress-free, and I own a home with all bills on auto pay. I'm not wealthy, but I am happy. On God, I've always been poor, but I've never been hungry. Having a decent restaurant job can be the difference between scraping by and total disaster. Burger King kept me fed to the tune of about 1.5 meals a day. Chicken tender order? I'd toss one extra into the fryer, and when they were done, I'd palm one and eat it after sending the order out. One time, I was exchanging those I was so broke during my undergrad years, stories with some colleagues, and mine was that I used to eat leftover food from trays when I worked in the dish pit. It didn't even bother me because it was good food that I didn't have to hunt, prepare, or beg for, and that was the wrong story to tell. Construction is great money, but it does take a toll on your body. When I was an electrician in my early 20s, every older electrician had back problems. They would all be millionaires when they retired. I got scared and started taking college courses. I took a pretty big pay cut initially, but I'm an engineer now with much less physically demanding work. The best field. It's a 4-year degree, which isn't for everyone. But my wife's starting pay in 2018 was $68,000 at a Big Four. And by 2024 was at just over $200K at a local public accounting firm in a medium-call city. Think Baltimore, SLC, Sacramento, etc. Hours were pretty rough. Busy season is no joke. But it's also desk work and can easily be done from home. She switched to industry for a better lifestyle. Now makes about $140K a year, but she never works a minute over 40 hours a week. And pay per hour is identical to her public accounting days. Lives a very happy, stress-free life with no crunch. Easiest growth potential ever. The U.S. is in desperate need of more accountants. She could have another job in minutes if she ever wanted to. A big reason her pay went up so much is she got approximately 30% pay bump after leaving the Big Four after her first year. They didn't offer any real raises due to COVID. Despite reporting record profits, busy season is a real drag and lasts about half the year. But there are definitely lifestyle-friendly career paths if money isn't everything. And you'll make more than 90% of Americans. If you are okay with the grind, Getting to greater than 300,000 per year is reasonably achievable for anyone with the drive to go for it. Partners regularly make 500,000 to 2 million, depending on the size of the firm. This is going to sound wild, but Costco, their pay raises are standardized based on hours you work. I've worked there for just under 5 years and am now making over $30 an hour in an entry-level position. Plus, they automatically give 1.5x your base pay on Sundays and any time in a day over 8 hours, not just over 40 hours a week. Also, I pay $25 paycheck for health insurance with like $20 copays. So for the first time in my life, I can afford to get all the medical care I've been putting off. I grew up as moms going to the churches to beg for our utilities to be paid since we have cutoff notices. I don't recall anything ever actually being cut off, but it was definitely always looming. Lots of PB&J sandwiches in my past. I'm part data analyst, part manager for a health insurance company. I started off simply by accepting a temp position that wanted computer skills I had, Excel, and Access. I worked in pharmacy benefits for years, gaining knowledge and forming relationships. Over time, I became the person primarily responsible for managing our relationship with our pharmacy vendor. Then a position opened up to manage our relationships with the vendors for all our other non-medical benefits, so I took it. Now I make a base salary of a little more than $90,000 per year with bonus potential in the 5 to 15% range. My brother has a similar story about working his way up from an entry-level position, except his is in aerospace. He was good enough that he has survived multiple layoffs, and they send him all over the world to train. I don't know how much he makes, but I know his house is a lot bigger than mine, LOL. Automotive repair. It has allowed me to start rebuilding my depleted savings. No college degree necessary. For my position, just knowing how to provide good customer service. For those who like working on around cars, you are employable anywhere. Literally anywhere. Small towns? Big cities? Bumfuck nowhere? If there are people with cars anywhere near you, you are basically employable. Don't like your current job? You can quit with no notice and be employed with a phone call in the time it takes to walk from the service center to your car. Career transition from customer-facing to fleet maintenance can make huge hourly rates. Not flat rate. For example, I work in fleet maintenance. I make $50 each for 40 hours a week, with up to 20 hours a week of overtime. Automotive maintenance is so in need of techs. You can get started by simply showing up to a repair shop and asking if you can do oil changes or something. No prior experience required. It's absolutely a cheat code. You may need money for a tool set though. Employer may cover some or all of a basic tool set if desperate enough. Nursing is legit one of the best moves, especially if you can get into a specialty or travel nursing later on. The job security is insane, and you can basically work anywhere. Went from broke college student to software dev, and it completely changed everything. Coding boot camps are way more accessible than a 4-year degree if you're starting from nothing. Coding definitely was on this list from about 2015 to about 2024. It definitely isn't anymore. It wasn't easy even back then as someone with a degree in it. There is a nationwide shortage of dental hygienists. My friend works as 1 9-hour days with lunch and breaks 4 days a week. She makes about $90K. My dental hygienist told me it's a really good job and pretty easy to get into. She said it's like a 2-year degree with 0 prior knowledge needed. And because of the shortage, you can find good paying jobs right away. It's good pay. But the trade-off is back, neck, and wrist pain. I go home from work every day feeling exhausted, physically and mentally drained. I don't recommend it. Radiologic technologist. 2 years of schooling. You can cross-train into MRI, CT, mammo. You can further your education and pay by going into nuclear medicine. Lots of room for growth, stable, but it is a tough job. Looking into this. Are you in this field? If so, how's the schooling? And what would you say makes the job tough? And what are some of the pros of going this route? I'm still in X-ray school. You need good time management and discipline to do well in school. I would say it's a tough job because it's hard to get certain positioning down. At least for me, because I'm still learning, especially in trauma cases. Also, in the hospital, you're pushing the heavy portables all over, transferring patients, etc. It can be taxing on your body over time. Banking. It's a very upwork-friendly industry that likes to promote from within. And there are always entry-level jobs available that pay decently. A lot of the national banks start at $20 plus per hour by company policy. I went from a grocery store supervisor to teller to banker. And now I'm making over $30 an hour. Yeah, I got my foot in the door as a teller. 8 years later, they have paid for my degree and given me opportunities to get into the tech side of banking. I started at $18 an hour, and now I'm making well into six figures. My family still thinks I'm in a branch. If you have access to it, Merchant Mariner is the real answer. I got into it as a deckhand on a water taxi, only had to pass a drug test. The company paid for every certification I needed to get a promotion. Went to another company, then another, then another. All paid me to get SUTs. Went from living in my car to making $90,000 a year with winters off in 7 years. And honestly, I could have done it in 4 to 5 if I had been less afraid of taking on more responsibilities when I was younger. I didn't even know how boats floated when I landed this gig. I'm a teacher, and I make more than anyone in my family. By a lot. Now I'm in a state that pays teachers halfway decent and have 10 years of experience and a master's degree. But it's crazy to me that, as a teacher, I'm making $25,000 more than any person in my family. Anything in healthcare, in a hospital. Right now, just working as a CNA. If I work just one extra shift a week, so 4 12-hour shifts a week, I am making a really livable wage. Gross pay estimate over $60,000. Not rich, but hear me out. It's because of overtime pay being so much. Hospitals have constant overtime opportunities. All 3 I've worked at, you could have it whenever you wanted. So if you lock in hard, you can work even more than the 1 extra shift a week and make solid money. If you have no kids or anything and you do this for maybe a year or so, you can be debt-free and build a nest egg. This year, I can pay off about $20,000 in debt, all just because of overtime pay. You don't have to wipe butts. There are non-clinical roles like this. I worked registration at 2 hospitals that had this much overtime. I got to sit at a desk all day. Most places offer tuition. Reimbursement. I have worked with so many people who did this while the hospital paid for their degrees in all sorts of professions. It doesn't have to just be nursing. You can get an IT degree, business, etc., or even just job certifications. I had a friend in hospital, IT making $70,000 a year, no college degree, just SUTs. If he decided to go back to school, which again, the hospital would pay for, he could make 6 figures easily like his co-workers. In my case, working here fully pays for my nursing degree up front. I grew up below the poverty line and chose the practical route, community college, an associate's degree in nursing, and no debt. That decision carried me through 8 years of bedside, nursing in various hospital units, and most recently into a work-from-home nursing role earning over $120,000 a year. I've always had an artist spirit, and part of me wonders what life would have looked like if I'd nurtured that creativity and followed that career path. But as a poor kid, I felt I didn't have the luxury of gambling on a creative career. Nursing gave me stability, and it pulled me out of poverty. I do pest control right now. Started at $50,000, making $66,000 after 3 years. After wasting almost 10 years in dead-end jobs, racking up credit card debt, if I had done this right out of HS, I'd have so much more money. Boss paid for every study guide, test, and certification, as well as all continuing ed courses. I doubt any other trade is as easy to get into. Very limited upward mobility though. I could probably make $80,000 as a supervisor, but I'll wait to start my own business because I can reasonably make the same money and work half the hours. I also work in PC for one of the big guys in a major metroplex. We have PC techs making $80,000 plus, but they earn every last cent of it. My top outside salesperson cleared over $40,000 on last month's commission check. Sales, pest control pulled me out of poverty as well. Very grateful for my career. The real bummer is, a lot of jobs that will get you out of poverty are the most backbreaking, have the longest hours, and are the most difficult or technical. I grew up the eldest of four. We lived in a fifth-wheel trailer. We ate when the stamps were in, and visited Grandma Moore for Ginnard and Company. I put myself through school to get into HVAC, primarily because the local college offered a few things, HVAC and legal assistant type stuff. I was like, well, I already know how to argue with people. I might as well learn how to weld. Never did learn how to weld, but I grew and learned and became incredibly proficient in my field to the point where I was a company-wide trainer for a huge beverage company. The amount of work that I've had to go through strictly personally to pull myself up and those around me. Usually, the only time I would get under 40 hours is if I took several days off in a single week. 70 to 80-hour weeks suck, but debt sucks worse. I can now happily say my family won't have to wait for stamps. We won't have to go shower at Grandma's because the water's off. HVAC, mechanical repair, good fields that will need workers indefinitely, or at least nearly indefinitely. As soon as they figure out a robot that can diagnose and repair complex equipment, I'll be out of a job. But by then, I hope to be retired. If I can live that long. These are going to sound sort of stupid, but my husband and I cleared a TON, like more than we could imagine. This year, 5 times what we made when we first got married and needed this advice. I'm a school bus driver for the largest school district in Minnesota. After 7 years, I'm making $31 an hour. We now start at $28, and I started at $18. I work about 32 to 35 hours a week. Some of my coworkers choose to work almost 50. Bus companies will train you, usually unpaid, to get your CDL with school bus endorsement. With that, you can go to a lot of different jobs. My husband works at a factory that manufactures electrical enclosures. He's worked his way up from $15 an hour 10 years ago to $1.31 plus shift differential working third shift. He works 40 to 50 hours a week depending on overtime. He's been flexible in what they wanted and made himself indispensable. He started in general assembly, putting metal boxes in cardboard boxes for shipping. Then skilled assembly, putting together special project boxes with everything needed for the customer. To paint, then grinding, then foam in place, etc., etc. To now he runs the laser that cuts out all the stainless steel. He sits and watches a machine after he loads the correct program. It's a cakewalk of a job, and there's still room for growth in his position, both monetarily and in what he does. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear what you think. Write your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. If you enjoyed it, see you in the next video.